this is Lori Magnuson over at Stamp Sunshine on Facebook. I am bringing you one of my Christmas cards today, and I think it's beautiful. I did case it from somebody on the Demonstrator Planning Place. It's a gorgeous card made with the designer series paper called Poinsettia Place designer series paper. Here's a quick view of a few of the papers in this paper pack. And one of the best ways, I think, to create cards is by using designer series paper, because you have half the work done for you, especially if you don't feel like you're very good at stamping, you know, and using stamps. This card really features all of the designer series paper and just very little stamping on the inside. It says, "May magic and wonder bloom this holiday," with one of the other stamps from the stamp set. And here's the stamp set that I used, Poinsettia Petals. It does come as a bundle with some dies so that you can cut out the leaves and some of the other items. These are some of the images that I stamped and then die cut. I'll be layering these to make a poinsettia and putting on the front of my card. The first thing I did was to emboss this layer that goes on top of my card base. And this layer is done in Very Vanilla. The embossing folder that I used is called Tasteful Textile, and just so you know, I embossed that, and then I stamped Merry Christmas on the front. I did only emboss half of it, or a little over half of it, because a good portion of the front of this card is going to be covered up with some more paper. So this is Old Olive cardstock, and I just took a sheet of 8.5 by 11 and I cut it at 5.5 and scored it at 4 1/4. And I'm going to go ahead and lay down this layer of Very Vanilla that I have already, or that I have embossed. I think it's a good idea to use glue when you're laying down a piece of cardstock that has embossing on it, because the glue gets down into the little crevices and it holds that a little bit easier, a little more firmer to your card. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and put the inside layer in as well, since I'm at it. Doesn't take a lot of glue to hold your paper down. I'm just going to, as best I can, eyeball this and get it straight. The nice thing about using liquid glue is that if you need to, you can move that just a tiny bit to get it square. All right, so the next thing that I did was I cut a section of the Old Olive and another section from the designer series paper, and I'm going to just glue those together and adhere those to the front of my card as well. So I decided that rather than putting that green layer all the way around, the edge of my card base would act as the edge on this side, so I didn't need to leave an edge around that small piece of designer series paper here on this side. So I just moved this all the way to the edge. All right, I'm just going to, I'll compare my other card here. Lay that down just above my sentiment there and line it up with the edge of this Very Vanilla cardstock. Okay, getting that in good amount above my Merry Christmas. All right, so the next thing that you can do is, if you don't have the dies, by the way, if you just don't want to invest in those, these are not difficult to fussy cut. I did have the dies, but you could easily fussy cut. Same with these leaves. I stamped Old Olive on top of Old Olive. You could easily then fussy cut those. I actually did die cut those, and I'm going to be laying those on the front of my card. But before that, I'm going to just assemble my poinsettia. One of the things that you can do is you can fill in with some color around the middle of your poinsettia. This color in the middle is Bumblebee, and the color that I used to shade that is Soft Suede. One of the new items that we're going to have in our Stampin' Up! Catalog in the January through June catalog is these beautiful blending brushes. And basically what I did to add a little bit of shading to the inside of my poinsettia was I just took my blending brush, and then you're just going to start on the outside and come into it and just add a very light bit of shading around the center, or however much you want to do on your poinsettia. Okay, and then you'll be able to see the difference here. One has a little bit of shading, very, very soft around the middle, and then the other one doesn't. So then when I go to layer it, I'll be able to add just that little bit of dimension and shading around the center part of my poinsettia. So look for these blending brushes. They're going to be in the January through June mini catalog in Stampin' Up's upcoming year, 2021. So now all I'm going to do is just put these together. So I'm just going to take a little bit of glue and put it on the center of my poinsettias. And then I'm just going to stagger these. So this one is going to be slightly offset from the bottom one. You really don't need to color the insides of the underneath ones, but I just wanted to give you an example of what that would look like. And then we're going to also offset the small piece of the poinsettia for the very top. Give that a second or two to dry, and there's your pretty poinsettia. Now I am going to pop those up using our dimensionals because I think that just gives the card a more high-end look. It just looks a little fancier to have that poinsettia popping up off of the front of the page so beautifully, and it just gives it a real elegant look. So just going to peel off the back sides of these and get ready to lay those down on the card. I have several different Christmas cards I'm making this year for my friends and family, and this is just one of them. All right, so now I'm just going to decide where I want that. I think I want it over here on this side. And then once I get that laid down, and as I said, popped up with dimension, as you can see, it's kind of neat the way that it kind of sets up off of the front of the card. Then I'm just going to take my two leaves and I'm going to adhere those with the glue dots. I'm going to put one up here around the upper corner. And then I'll put the other one around down on the bottom corner. Did I get it? Nope, I need to press it one more time. All right. And that one's going to go right over here, I think. I like that a lot. All right, and we're almost finished with this beautiful card. The last step is going to be to do the envelope and then also to tie a piece of gold twine on the front of my card right over here. Now you could have wrapped this all the way around this layer, to give it more of a little more richer look, I ran out of the gold twine because I'm using this on a project for my classes. But otherwise, you could just very nicely use just a piece of that gold twine and just add a bow here on the side or over here. I think that I like it over here. Okay, and then we're just going to trim those tips. Oop, and there you have a really pretty Christmas card. And I will put the dimensions for these center pieces here with the designer series paper and this very vanilla layer with the embossing folder and the names of all of the items that I used down in the description of this YouTube video. Okay, now the last thing that we're going to do is go ahead and add a beautiful piece of cardstock to our envelope flat. We don't want to send a naked envelope. Here I have stamped one of the images from the stamp set on the front. And so the way that I do this on the back of the card is I just very simply go around the edge of my envelope with some glue. And then you're just going to take your piece of cardstock, and I think this probably measures 2 1/4 inches by 6, and you'll just lay it right at the edge of your envelope like this. Move it up to where you need it so that it's just on the edge. And then you're going to turn it over and you're just going to trim off this unneeded part around the edge of the envelope so that only the pretty designer series paper is showing. And then you can still use the sticky part on the inside of the envelope for sealing it, of course. You don't have to change anything about that. So once you get that trimmed, as you can see, now you have a really pretty envelope. And whenever you send a beautiful card like this with a beautiful envelope, it's like getting a gift in the mail. So please use your designer series paper. And thanks a lot for joining me today. And enjoy making your Christmas cards and enjoy sending them because they really brighten up people's day. Thanks for joining me. Oh, and if you'd like to order any of these items, you can go over to lauriemagnuson.stampinup.net. That's my online Stampin' Up store, or you can visit me on Stamp Sunshine.